There are moments when, no matter how much respect we show, no matter how much compassion and attention we give, the other person ignores us. They grow so used to our presence that they begin to take us for granted. They underestimate our importance and assume that no matter how neglected we are, we will stay there forever, waiting in the corner. This illusion leaves a deep wound in the human soul. In what I'm about to share with you today, you'll discover 10 powerful behaviors grounded both in the unshakable stance of Stoic philosophy and in the depth psychology of Carl Jung. These behaviors will make the person who devalues you feel the following: the fear of loss, the sense of losing control, and deep regret. But I want to emphasize one thing. What we'll talk about here is not a plan for revenge or a cheap recipe for emotional manipulation. It is purely about taking control of your own life, strengthening your dignity, and, as Jung said, integrating with your true self. So, if you're ready, let's begin with the first approach that will shake those who ignore you. Behavior number 10. Practice strategic silence. Few actions hold as much power as silence, especially when used consciously and deliberately. When someone treats you carelessly and ignores you, they expect a reaction. They expect you to defend yourself, to ask why they did it, perhaps even to beg for attention. But when you respond with silence, something very interesting happens. That person loses control of the situation. In Stoicism, silence is not submission. On the contrary, it is self-mastery. As Epictetus said, it is impossible for a person to learn what they think they already know. When you stay silent in the face of humiliation, you scream without words. I will not compromise with this low-frequency energy, and I am ready to move on without needing your approval. Recall Carl Jung's concept of the shadow. When you go silent, the other person is left alone with their own darkness, not answering empty messages, not trying to explain your absence to someone indifferent to you, not feeding conversations that only happen when the other person wants them. All of this demonstrates that your inner peace is far more valuable than someone's toxic presence. So what happens to the one who ignores you? Anxiety begins to stir within them. Seeds of doubt sprout. Why didn't they reply? Why did they disappear? Did they find someone better? What are they doing when they retreat into their own world? Such questions begin to gnaw at the ego of someone used to receiving your time, attention, and affection for free. Silence becomes a mirror, and not everyone dares to look at themselves in it. But you are ready, because you know that true strength lies not in outside praise, but in inner control. When you practice strategic silence, you create distance, not to manipulate people. You create distance to protect yourself, and in the process, you become freer. And that is exactly why you become more valuable. Behavior 9. Stop trying to explain yourself to someone who doesn't want to understand you. The greatest emotional trap is trying to convince others of your worth. Over-explaining, justifying every choice, feeling obligated to defend every step. But ancient wisdom is very clear. Don't waste energy on someone who has sworn not to understand you. As Marcus Aurelius said, if you can change it, change it. If you can't, accept it, but never exhaust yourself. When you stop explaining yourself to someone who doesn't value you, you send a very clear signal. I don't need your approval. This attitude disarms the other person. That person, used to seeing you submissive and always trying to please, suddenly asks, "What changed?" The best part is that this attitude doesn't have to be aggressive. It simply has to be firm. If someone criticizes you baselessly, don't argue. Just smile faintly and keep walking. If they doubt your decisions, don't try to convince them. Keep going with confidence. Sometimes indifference wounds more than 1,000 logical arguments. Often those who don't care about you expect a vulnerable reaction, a defensive one, even an apology for something you didn't do. But when you stop answering for yourself, you show that you no longer need the other person's gaze to feel whole, and that scares them. Deep down, people sense that you are at peace with your decisions, and that makes them reflect. Sometimes, even if you haven't said a single harsh word, they still feel rejected, because the silence of your maturity sounds louder than any argument. There is no point trying to explain your worth to someone who doesn't see it. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to live honestly, and the person who doesn't value you will begin to doubt themselves, but perhaps it will already be too late. Behavior 8. Live with purpose and focus on yourself. Nothing is more astonishing than watching someone thrive without you, someone you failed to value. When you direct your attention and energy toward your own goals, projects, and personal growth, you send a signal to the universe and to that person. I am self-sufficient, and this shatters the ego of anyone who believes they depend on your existence or approval. This is exactly what Jung calls the process of individuation. Finding your center. Control what you have. You have your time, your energy, and your focus. Instead of spending them trying to please someone indifferent to you, invest in yourself. Read more. Take care of your health. Develop new skills. Explore new places. Prove to yourself that life goes on and that you can be magnificent even without those who don't value you. This is where the other person's despair begins, because they realize you're not just distancing yourself, you're rising. While they place you in second place, you learn to put yourself first. Those who devalued you begin to see you quietly shine, without pretense, drama, or begging, simply living. And this stance is far more powerful than any speech, because it shows that you're not merely pretending to move forward. You truly are moving forward. Moreover, living with meaning creates a natural shield against toxic relationships. Because when you follow your life's mission, peace becomes the priority, and all those who try to break you naturally fall behind. True strength lies in living well, even when others doubt or withdraw, because the best answer to contempt is personal growth. And when you begin to bloom, needing no one, those who didn't value you will desperately want to be part of your life again. But perhaps that door is already closed. Behavior 7. Set boundaries without guilt. One of the most transformative things you can do in your life is learn to say no. To say no to those who use you, to those who show up only when they need something, to those who don't respect your feelings but still expect you to always be there. This isn't just a word. It's a matter of self-discipline. It's the ability to act rationally rather than out of guilt or the urge to please others. Often, those who don't value you rely on your inability to set boundaries. They're used to your endless patience and your always open door. But when you begin to draw clear, non-negotiable boundaries, reality changes, and this change frightens them. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not over external events. This is exactly what setting boundaries means. Focus on what you can control, your decisions, your presence, and your time, and hold firmly to it. When someone tries to invade your emotional space with rudeness, disrespect, or indifference, don't try to justify yourself. Just step back. When they try to make you feel guilty for prioritizing your own peace of mind, stay calm. When they want your attention while giving nothing in return, stay silent and walk away. This attitude has a devastating effect on those used to manipulating you emotionally because their games no longer work. Guilt does not paralyze you. You gain freedom, and this frightens those who once controlled you. Self-reliance is knowing how to say enough at the right time. By keeping your composure, you teach people how to treat you, and if they don't learn, they are about to lose the privilege of being near you. Behavior number 6. Be polite but detached. This is one of the most noble and, at the same time, most confusing qualities for those who don't value you. You remain polite, calm, and gentle, but you allow no intimacy. You close the doors to emotional contact. The message is, I have evolved, and there's no longer a place for you here. Ancient teachings advise us not to react impulsively or to seek revenge. Anger and the thirst for vengeance enslave us. Instead, we must cultivate virtue and self-mastery. A respectful response to someone who looks down on you while keeping the distance necessary to preserve your peace of mind is the greatest display of character. This stance both surprises and unsettles the other person, because the one who devalues you usually expects two reactions. Either you will beg for attention or you will explode in anger. But when you calmly greet them with "good morning" and keep walking, holding no grudge yet showing no excessive familiarity, it completely disarms them, as if you were saying, I hold no hatred, but there's no longer a place for you in my world. This subtlety is very powerful because it demonstrates maturity. It shows that you understand who deserves your energy. In time, that person realizes they lost far more than they thought. They lost not only your presence, but your attention, your compassion, your trust. and this eats away at them from within. Because detached politeness is far stronger than open hatred. It is a serious stance. This attitude shows that you don't need to become ruthless to move forward. It simply shows that you have grown. There is no need to enter into emotional battles. Sometimes, all you need to do is move forward, keeping your honor intact. The person who understands this will be shaken and perhaps for the first time will realize the value you always possessed. Behavior 5. Be unshakable in the face of criticism. One of the most powerful weapons of those who don't value you is empty criticism. Often people can't confront you directly, so they try to undermine your confidence by pointing out non-existent mistakes or flaws. What they don't know is that when you absorb this philosophy, you become immune to that criticism. As Epictetus said, we are disturbed not by events themselves, but by our opinion of those events. So when you become unshakable in the face of criticism, you begin to understand that the problem lies in the criticism, not in your reaction. As Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can help us understand ourselves. But here, the situation is reversed. Their criticism is actually a reflection of their own inner struggle. Those who devalue you may try to strike you with harsh words, but what they didn't expect is your calm, balanced, and peaceful demeanor. Seeing that their words have no effect on you, they lose their minds. The person who used to upset you so easily is now confused and helpless. When you stop reacting to criticism, it isn't out of indifference, but because you've learned to see words as merely words. You reclaim control. There is no longer room for emotional manipulation or attempts to make you feel inferior. You are not defenseless before the opinions of others, because your identity is built on a far more solid foundation. When you decide not to let criticism affect your emotional state, criticism loses its power. When the person ignoring you realizes that nothing they say can disturb your balance, they lose control of the situation and begin to ask themselves, why doesn't he react? This question leads them to despair. True freedom lies in controlling your reactions. When you become unshakable, you are not only protected from outside criticism, you also grow stronger within. You know that your peace depends only on you and not on the words of those who don't value you. Behavior 4. Defend your dignity, even when you are alone. One of the most important lessons is this: our dignity does not depend on whether others are with us or not. It depends on how we treat ourselves in every situation. When someone doesn't value you, the biggest mistake is trying to please them by lowering yourself or making yourself vulnerable so they'll see your pain. But wisdom teaches us to defend our dignity even when no one is watching. As Seneca wrote, a person attains their greatest greatness in solitude. Defending your dignity in the face of humiliation or neglect is the practice of emotional self-sufficiency. You don't need anyone's approval or validation of who you are. Your worth comes from your character and your stance, not from outside praise. When you can stand tall, even when no one is looking, even when you are alone, you radiate a silent message of strength. That inner integrity Jung speaks of is tested in these moments of solitude. When the person who doesn't value you senses this, they are shaken. How can he keep going? How can he stand so firm without my attention? This feeling of inner strength is something no one can take from you. Sometimes those who humiliate you expect you to break, to become dependent on their approval in order to move forward. But when you preserve your integrity without depending on the eyes of others, the other side does not win. You feel it, and often this sense of loss is the key to sparking regret in the person who never knew how to value you properly. In the end, you become even stronger, because true strength is your ability to live according to your principles, regardless of what others think or do, and you strengthen that power by preserving your dignity in solitude. Those who didn't value you may understand this too late, but they lost more than physical contact. They lost the chance to be near a truly genuine and strong person. The third approach: don't be afraid to move on without warning. Often, those who don't value you expect you to warn them before ending the relationship, to explain why you're distancing yourself, or to give them one last chance to change. But true strength lies in the ability to move forward without resorting to excuses or explanations to others. One of life's most fundamental principles is the acceptance of impermanence. Nothing is eternal, not even relationships. If someone doesn't value you, that person has already emotionally distanced themselves from you. Perhaps you need to recognize this distance before it becomes an unhealing wound. Instead of waiting for the perfect breakup or feeling obligated to account for your actions, your stance should be simple. If the other person doesn't value you, accept that the relationship has an expiration date, and don't be afraid to move on without explanations, without scenes, without looking back. It is liberating. When you end the relationship without dwelling on the consequences, you demonstrate immense confidence that you can be happy without that person's approval, and this in itself delivers a psychological shock to the other person. The one who didn't value you will begin to ask, "Why didn't he ask my permission? Why didn't he defend himself?" This stance is not revenge. It is the choice to put your own well-being first, without answering to someone who never valued you the way you deserved. Life is too short to waste on relationships that don't contribute to your growth and inner peace. And when you understand this, the one who didn't value you will feel the emptiness of what they lost, and will often fall into despair when they see that you don't want them back. The second approach: value your achievements without expecting recognition. One of the biggest traps when you're undervalued is expecting your victories and successes to be acknowledged. But true satisfaction comes from knowing you did everything you could, regardless of whether you were seen or applauded. When you achieve something meaningful and decide not to expect recognition, you free yourself from the need for external validation. This isn't arrogance, nor does it mean indifference. It's about realizing that your path and your achievements are valuable in themselves, not because someone else approves of them. Those who don't value you often ignore you when you achieve something significant. They expect you to seek their approval, or they feel inferior because they don't receive your support. But when you act as if your victories are already enough for your own happiness, you create a distance that makes the other person wonder, "Why doesn't he need my approval?" The beauty of it is that, as Jung said, when you are in harmony with your true self, you need no masks or applause. Your worth doesn't depend on what others think of you. Your peace doesn't depend on their reaction. This creates a visible and powerful sense of serenity. When those around you realize you don't need their help to be happy or successful, it makes them reflect. And those who don't value you often find themselves in an awkward position because they can't influence your path. It is a quiet feeling of strength, achieving something and simply moving forward without expecting applause from those who don't value you. Create space for the people who truly matter to recognize your worth, effortlessly, without theatrics, simply through consistent action. The first behavior is emotional self-sufficiency. The most powerful stance you can hold toward someone who doesn't value you is emotional self-sufficiency. It means you don't depend on the approval, attention, or love of others to feel that your life has worth. You are self-sufficient, and this inner understanding is one of the greatest sources of strength. Our emotions should not be controlled by external factors. As Epictetus said, happiness depends on us, not on others. When you absorb this idea, you begin to understand that the only person who can truly affect your emotional state is you. Others may try to destabilize you, but you can choose how to feel. When you are emotionally self-sufficient, you create a natural shield against contempt or indifference. The person who doesn't value you realizes that their attempts to make you feel inferior or to knock you off course no longer work. You no longer depend on their words or actions. You are already whole and self-sufficient. However, emotional self-sufficiency does not mean isolation or shutting yourself off from the world. It means accepting that you can give yourself the compassion, respect, and approval you need without depending on others. This creates an impressive inner strength, because now you begin to live according to your own values and standards rather than the expectations or judgments of others. And when you do this, the person who doesn't value you feels they have lost control of the situation. You are no longer troubled by the lack of attention. You don't need their approval to feel good. It is precisely this authentic self-sufficiency that often makes the person ignoring you feel powerless, because it is an irreparable loss, the loss of control over your well-being. By applying this principle, you not only grow stronger, you also become a shining example of how to live a life built on emotional autonomy and self-sufficiency. And as a result, those around you begin to see you as an unshakable person, a model of confidence and self-respect, which is often exactly what those who don't value you fear most. These are 10 behaviors drawn from ancient wisdom and the depths of human psychology that will strengthen your position against those who make you feel worthless. If what I described resonates with your story, you can join this journey by subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to watch the video on screen. There too, you'll learn a great deal. See you soon.